This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and the Becker Business Podcast. We try to bring you 1 to 2 business or market insight episodes a day. Today's discussion is 8 quick notes, and we hope you find this helpful. First, the markets tanked yesterday. The NASDAQ and the S&P 500 dropped each by more than 2%. The S&P was down 2.06%. The NASDAQ was down 2.4%. I didn't want to look at the portfolio this AM and basically won't until I have to. The market drop was driven by the president lashing out at Europe and threatening to escalate the trade war. This stemmed part discussions and talks regarding Greenland. Again, it's a little hard to follow everything that's going on, but just fascinating to see what is happening and the reaction of the markets and so forth. Third, private equity behemoth took it on the chin. Private equity giant KKR dropped 6.48% yesterday. It's down about 22% over the last year. The PE funds are just having a very hard time getting high value exits. This remains a challenge. Fourth, a healthcare company beat estimates. One of the big ones, Johnson & Johnson, topped estimates for revenues and earnings and also put forth a very solid forecast for 2026. That was good news. Fifth, 2 of the stocks that got crushed yesterday dropped more than 9%. StubHub and CBiz. Fascinating to watch the ups and downs of StubHub over the last couple of years. CBiz, I don't follow that closely. Sixth, 5 more of the stocks that got crushed yesterday. MicroStrategy, now called Strategy, and some of these are big names. That's why we're discussing. These all dropped by more than 7% yesterday. Dell Technologies, Norwegian Cruise Lines, Circle Internet, and Peloton. A broad cross-section of stocks got crushed yesterday when the market lost. Seventh, the markets are rebounding a little bit today based on, they're not up as much as they were this morning, based on the president saying he's ruled out any sort of force to take over Greenland. I mean, thank God. I don't mind all this regime change, all these other things, but the U.S. using force to go after people that aren't traditional enemies is something I'm not a fan of. But so that was the benefit today in the markets. We'll see how this ends today, but at least so far today, up at least 2/3 of a point or 2/3 of a percentage and so forth. Finally, we'll discuss for a second a non-business topic, but it's this topic of regime change in Venezuela and Iran. Many of us, whether on the left or right, would be happy with regime change, but you have to remember that regime change is the easy part. The real problem is that when there's a vacuum in these countries, something will fill that vacuum. And certainly the United States doesn't have capacity to fill all these vacuums. So yes, I'm not against regime change in Iran or Venezuela at all, but just to recognize that's the easier part of the job. The harder part is finding long-term stability, and you almost need a modern-day Marshall Plan to try and do that. And even with doing that, it's very hard to find it. In any event, thank you so much for listening to the Becker Private Equity, the Becker Business Podcast. Thank you very, very much.